Hello Aries friends, I'm Annie Botticelli and welcome to my video, Aries November 2020 Astrology Must Knows. November is a completely different story than October was. If you watched my October report or you've lived through October already, then you know that it is likely going to be a very intense emotional doozy. October is. And that energy is going to weigh a little bit into the beginning of November. But the month very, very rapidly changes into a climate that is much better for Aries. If you haven't already watched my September Aries report, even if September isn't current at the time you're watching this, I highly suggest you go back and listen to that video, because in that video I talk in a lot of details about why Aries has been having such a crap of a time for the last years, and in some cases many years, and I explain more details about what that looks like. But even in absence of that backstory, the time that is changing for Aries is coming as the planets that have been moving into Capricorn and literally assaulting our Aries placements. And I say our because I have Aries rising, so I've been going through this assault with you. Those things are changing, and they're changing rapidly, and they're going to change throughout the month in a big way. The beginning of the month still has that, a very strong Scorpio backwards emotional energy. And even though there are Scorpio planets this entire month that are going to bring some continued emotion, the factors that are going to start changing things are going to be crystallizing with every week that passes. Into November, into December, into January. It's a really, truly life-changing time for everyone in the zodiac because of the eclipse cycle and some of the other things that I'll talk about, but especially for Aries as we're coming out of this dark phase. Okay, so it's very exciting. So I'm going to go through the details of the layers of what is happening this month and how I think that it's likely to affect Aries placements, and some suggestions of how you can maximize this energy and frames of reference to understand what these cycles can bring to you, okay? So the first thing that I want to talk about has to do with everything waking up, and this is very exciting. If you've watched my reports for a while, even last year, I talked last year about how this year was going to be really introspective and backwards. At that time, I did not know that the coronavirus was coming. I knew the systems were going to be tested, as I talked about in my Jupiter and Capricorn video, but we can see that Venus, Mars, and Mercury having all these retrogrades have really brought us into an internal space, backwards, slow moving. Those places are not as fun for Aries. We like forward movement, action. We want our ambition and our inspiration to be fueled and to be unimpeded. And in many cases, it has been very internal or in the backdrop that any progress has taken place this year. It's brewing, we know it's going to happen, we feel it's going to happen, but it hasn't really manifested externally in a very great way yet. But that is going to start changing this month. As Mercury goes direct on November 3rd, unfortunately, the days around the time that Mercury, that rules communication and confusion and interactions, between people and information, Election Day is going to be on that same day, and that is not going to bode well for having super clarity and ease for elections, unfortunately. And that confusion may also come into your personal life. You might be very uncertain about things at this time, but I really believe that in many cases that is going to change very rapidly over the course of the month. In the middle of the month, we've got a big event. Mars, our ruler, goes direct, and you will wake up. Okay, your ambitions, your inspiration, your oomph, your get up and go, your drive, your unimpeded flow will start to return. Mars doesn't get fully froggy back to its normal self until the beginning of January. But because it's in its sign that it rules and it's in your sign, you will notice this. And you might notice it to the day. And you might wake up around that time and say, wow, I really feel different. And then think what I said. Oh, right. Probably Mars is waking up, right? So this is, the rest that you have from yourself and your personality is going to stop now. So if you're listening to this early, which is why I always give this to you early, to give you the opportunity to do that, know that it's still time for you to be resting. And the more you rest and the more you do internal things and take care of stuff, kind of wrapping up unfinished business, the more you're really going to be able to flow with awesome new changes and exciting developments in a bunch of different areas of your life, due to the eclipses and due to those Capricorn planets being done assaulting us. Okay, so let's just talk about the eclipses now too, but we still have some other things to talk about besides that. Eclipse cycles are major times of active, crazy, life-changing events. And fortunately for Aries, the eclipse cycle that previously the Cancer Capricorn eclipse cycle was part of the mischief, was working in bad angles for us. But now, starting in the middle of this year, going to the end of 2021, Gemini and Sagittarius eclipses are starting to work in your favor. And this can really, really activate your sharing of information, your learning, your teaching, your ambitions as far as learning languages, traveling, international connections, anything having to do with the education process or you as a teacher or owning, how you're going to share your information is going to come up in a big way. Think back to the end of 2010 through the middle of 2013, okay? That's the last time that the Gemini-Sagittarius eclipse cycle was happening. So many of the types of changes that occurred then are going to start to come and have another cycle and another advancement of what went on. Now, if you had some bad times then, don't worry. It doesn't necessarily mean that anything and everything bad that happened at that time is going to happen again, because there were different astrological factors in play all those years ago that are not currently in play. So we're not in an identical situation. There's a whisper of this, storyline of areas in your life that were changed in a major way. And I'll give you an example from my own life, being in Aries with you. The last time that Sagittarius and Gemini eclipse cycle occurred is when I started doing YouTube horoscopes. And I don't know how well you know my work, but you'll see how that went. It started what has become a continually growing, continually expanding, crazy advancement in my work and career and ways that I'm sharing creatively and helping the world, which has been my mission. Along with writing books and teaching and learning, and all of those things have been amped to the next level. And so you might see those types of changes come if you're trying to bring your voice out in a different way, if you're trying to step into sharing in a different way. Your launch time is coming soon. It's not in the first week of the month. It's not really in the second week of the month. But as the month progresses, like towards the end of the month, into December and the beginning of January, if you have that thing you've been working on, you want to start a channel, you want to start a blog, you want to launch a book, you want to, connect with someone that's going to advance your work, that time is coming. Okay. And really it's going to be very, very well supported at the end of November, all of December, the beginning of January. So you might start rumping around like a bull in a china shop a little earlier than that, but you can do things in the back, and like in the back office, we'll call it, like working on things in the backdrop. And if opportunities come to you, tune in. You might be able to say yes to them. But as far as you like raging, blazing forward, you might need a little more time for the month to progress. Okay. But you are going to get your wild, blazing forward time, and that time is coming. If you have an issue or something going on with immigration or something involving work with international connections, that's another area of life that is very likely going to have life breathed back into it. If you've had health issues or if you've had something going on with your physical body, you might also notice things progressing at that time. Okay, your relationship space is still very strongly aspected, and this happens at this year every time the planets move through Libra, every time the planets move through Scorpio. So basically like September, October, November of every year, our relationship sectors get crowded with a ton of planets that are both in relationship sign and house. So that means your personal relationships, your relationships with money or financial institutions or taxes or debt or credit, all of that comes up in a big way. You might notice that you're seeing resolution in some of those areas as far as paying off debt or dealing with your taxes or having some kind of breakthrough, or if there's something that was pending that was kind of under the surface, it may come into the light to be dealt with. But again, the eclipse cycle is super friendly for us because of the angles that Gemini and Sag make for us. Okay, so the last thing, two things we want to talk about. I talked about how clarity is going to develop over the course of the month. Another piece of that has to do with Neptune moving direct on November 26th. When Neptune is in retrograde, and Mars and Mercury and all these things are in retrograde, and all this energy is in water in retrograde, it's just a time to really not be sure about certain things, okay? So there are many things that are occurring this month that with every week that passes clarity will come, and the eclipses might bring in new information. So in the first half or first 3/4 of November, you might think you're working with A or B. Do I do this? Do I do that? But as the month develops and as the time progresses into December, you'll see you might have option C, option D, option E light up. So just tame your horses or hold your horses, to kind of see this information develop, because it can be very, very life-changing. And again, since it's on this lunar path of your highest expression, anything that happens with eclipses has a chance to get you on track with your highest destiny and clear up karma. So sometimes it takes a little bit for that information to unfold, and you're not likely going to have all the information you need until time progresses. Okay, so now the last thing we have to talk about is the Jupiter-Pluto conjunction. Okay, so this has to do with so many things. This is part of what has been going on that has been really hard for Aries, is outer planets, Jupiter, Saturn, Pluto, and even the star goddess Pallas Athena have been moving through Capricorn. Pallas Athena has been for a shorter time, but for years, these planets have been making bad angles for our Aries placements and really bringing difficulties. So Jupiter and Saturn are going to get out of Capricorn in December, and you might start to really feel the openness that's coming from that. But we do have this last clash, and that's going to occur November 12th. Okay, so April 4th, June 30th, November 12th is when these two outer planets got together in Capricorn, made a difficult angle for us, especially those who are in the second half of the sign. So we'll say around 15 or so degrees through the rest of the sign, if you know your rising or sun or moon placement. So around the 5th or so of April through the rest of the sign, you all might have had more chance for negative effects from this. But whatever has happened, this is the final story. And you'll see, if you haven't already discovered this or listened to my video called how Astrology has instigated the coronavirus and the systems breaking down. So you basically search for Botticelli coronavirus and watch this very in-depth video about how these outer planet aspects have been instigating these profound changes we've been having. You'll want to see that. But on the 4th of April, June 30th, and November 12th, we had these three connections. And so critical things have occurred individually and out globally. April is around when everything started shutting down. So the weeks before, March into April, is when the world closed. And this is not a coincidence. It's related to this aspect. So some ending of this storyline is going to occur. I do believe the ending is going to involve more openness. But it's not like coronavirus goes away or the story goes away or now everything is completely back to normal. It just moves into the next evolution of what this is going to look like, which is going to have quite different strands. But look for something notable in that period of time related to what has been going on this year. And just to put this in perspective, the last time Jupiter and Pluto got together was around 2009, when the subprime lending market fell out from under itself, threw a cascade into all the financial sectors, and wreaked havoc in many areas of life for many people. That was one pass that they connected, okay? Jupiter and Pluto connected one time. This year, they connected 3 times. You ever hear that expression, things happen in threes? I believe that's astrological, because often a planet will go cross over, make an impact, then it will go retrograde, make a second impact, then cross over again and make a third impact, and we see 3 different things happen. So that we're getting 3 times the energy that created what went on in 2009-ish. We have that times 3 this year. And you can really see that it has been much more intense and much further reaching. But whatever it is, it ends here. And Aries placements are going to experience a double energy of a connection in Capricorn, because it's in the sign of Capricorn that it's occurring, and it's in the house of Capricorn. So father figures, things having to do with your parents, but usually father figures, authority figures, bosses, work, career, are really going to occur. Now, it doesn't just have to be bad things. It could be something amazing that happens in your work. And you may have seen, even despite crazy things that have been going on, a lot of Aries people have had their work sector just glowing. But sometimes the work that has to be done more may be required of you in your work sector, and it doesn't have to be a bad thing, but it will be tiring. It will affect your physicality in the way of, having to try to manage a lot. But it can be amazing. Like really, really, your work gets launched in a really, really huge way. So, powerful time in the cosmos, powerful time for Aries. If you want more details about what you can expect, definitely sign up for my free email newsletter at anniehelpsyou.com, because I give you the sweet dates, the salty dates, what you can expect from the aspects that occur on those dates, what the aspects are, a write-up of the general energy of the month. So a lot of the things that I talk about with these general aspects in written form, delivered into your inbox 1 month early. I only send out 3 newsletters a month. I don't like to be spammed. I don't like to get stuff every day from newsletter lists, so I don't do that. But everything that I send will be chock full of information on how you can use the astrological transits in the best ways. So you can sign up for that at anniehelpsyou.com. You'll also get Shine, my 28-day virtual coaching program, for free. That's a gift that I give to my email community. All the links that I'm giving you are also in the notes underneath the video. So if you click on the More button with the arrow underneath the video, then you'll reveal these links so you don't have to try to memorize what I'm saying. If you want written horoscopes delivered 1 month early on my site, cozybysweetstarlight.com, these are super simple, talking about things that we might not be covering in the video, some additional information in a written form 1 month early, along with astrology-kissed healthy lifestyle blogs, a beautiful site, cozybysweetstarlight.com. If you want to take some free classes, including my class called Unleash Your Money Magnet, you can go to my school, Luminous Life Multiversity, at lumelife.com, L-U-M-E, life.com. You can also see my paid courses there. Most of my offerings are free, and I put a tremendous amount of time. Most of the time that I spend with work-related things is actually doing free stuff. But I do have some paid things, and if you think I go into details in the free things, then you should see what goes on in the paid things, including my Becoming a Professional Astrologer Mastery course. So if you want to do astrology as your business, if you want to do astrology as part of your business, if you want to have it just for your own personal self-development to help your family and friends, you will be bonkers for this course. It is so much information. It's go at your own pace. It's, really based on your study cycles, and it's just wonderful. So you can check that out at lumelife.com. The last thing I have to talk about is that my book, Planetology, How to Align with the Natural Rhythms of the Universe, is going to be available in the beginning of December. From what I know, still, depending on when you're listening to this, Amazon at least is having a sale on pre-orders. So if you order this book early, you will have it mailed to you on the day of December 8th when it launches, and you'll get it at a discounted price by ordering it early. You'll want to have the audio version and you'll want to have the print version, because the print version is a hardcover, beautiful reference book that you'll go back to time and time again. Long, detailed, but super simple steps on how anyone from a beginner to an advanced astrology student can use astrology in their day-to-day experience in practical ways. And the audiobook will help you listen to it because it's long, and then you can be doing other things. So I advise you get both. So I hope you have a wonderful month, and I'll see you next month. Bye.